Right, welcome to the next video in the Data-Driven Career Fundamentals program. Coming live or recorded from Starbucks. In earlier videos, I covered the importance of certain data collection methods and how to do some of them, and go deeper into that and into other areas and the other parts of the program that, again, are free to you. I encourage you to go more in depth. There's tons of resources. Mentorship is a passion of mine. This is how I can make myself available to the most amount of people possible. So let's talk about some leadership attributes. And the one that I'm going to focus on right now for the next couple of minutes is something that I call radical accountability. And why do I say it's expected? Again, we work within an ecosystem of expectations. It is a data point we should seek to collect through inference and direct acquisition of that data and refining our career based upon the ecosystem of expectations in order to accelerate the outcomes that we want. So showing this again, my horrible handwriting, my horrible drawing of shapes. I can't believe I actually took graphic design in college over 20 years ago, and that was my major. Obviously, it didn't improve my penmanship, but again, we sit in this ecosystem of expectations. Here's one kind of expectation as a leadership attribute that you can leverage to help to accelerate your career, and that is radical self-accountability. And this really ties nicely into the concept of that honest baseline of ourselves and being objective about where we currently are so that we increase the probability that we're able to get to where we want to go. As I expressed in an earlier video, I am not a huge fan of fake it until you make it, because that kind of confidence is blinding. It's almost like acting, and it kind of keeps you away from being objective about yourself and circumstances, because you kind of have to be forced to be subjective so that you can continue to fake it until you make it. And some of the negative outcomes of that, you're not going to understand what you need to fix because you're just going to be focused on there's nothing you need to fix because you're just going to fake it. You're going to create a perception. You're going to have certain expectations of what you should be getting, and those expectations are, you're going to be disappointed because what you get is going to be more aligned to the reality, not what you perceive in terms of yourself. And you'll be in a bad position where you won't admit to mistakes. And from a leadership branding standpoint, your ability to be consistently successful at not being able to admit to mistakes, especially when it's apparent to others, is going to be a very difficult thing to overcome when the outcomes of that happen. And that's ultimately people that have heavy influence in your ecosystem of expectations in your career, those career gatekeepers. They're going to catch on to that stuff, and they're only going to buy it for so long. So when I talk about in communication, how you can actually leverage your mistakes as a way to build your leadership brand, that's in later videos. And also, like, sense of fake it till you make it gives you a lot of that dopamine high of like feeling good about yourself, kind of that false confidence. But it's not necessarily going to help you to deliver consistency of accomplishments, because you're not going to be objective in terms of the data points around skills and milestones and expectations of others and of yourself in order to get to the places that you want to get in your career. So, really, I'm really hyping in some of these like negative aspects of taking a non radical accountability approach and faking it to make it, because I see this sometimes get stressed as just seems like a very logical way to pursue things. And I am really dead set against it. Would not recommend this approach. It's not served me in my career in the long run, and I've advised against it and others in mentorship. And that has economic outcomes, ability to provide for your family, etc. And that, especially as you advance in your career, and if you have a family, these things are going to be crucial to your happiness for your career. So what's the flip side of this? Just be honest with yourself for the sake of your own development. So if you completely focus on your own self-needs, if you're not honest with yourself, you're not going to be able to develop and ultimately meet your own expectations, and just be disappointed in the long run. One of the main benefits in terms of being radically accountability when it comes to yourself and your capabilities and not faking it till you make it, it really shows your gatekeepers, your honesty and your transparency. And if you couple that with adjustments that you're going to make based upon what your level setting, for example, like certain types of skills that you have or that you're lacking, and you tell your gatekeepers you're going to make adjustments to acquire those skills and make adjustments to improve the probability of hitting an accomplishment, they will admire the transparency and they will see as someone that they can trust and someone that's willing to learn. And also people love a comeback story, right? If you mess up real bad and you own up to it and you make the adjustments, and you see this play out in a lot of the Rocky movies with the montage, the person's making the adjustments and they're training up and they're going to come back. People like that kind of story. They want to root for you. So what's the summary here? Confidence can be overrated when it's built upon a foundation of fake it till you make it, because that's not real confidence. Real confidence comes from being radically accountable to yourself and assessing yourself objectively. That's know thyself. That is what really builds the confidence. And you need to be really careful with fake it till you make it confidence building approaches, because it's just going to set you on the wrong targets and make you less likely, if you buy into that perception of yourself, that you're actually going to make a change. You know, this radical self-accountability approach, it's ultimately going to free you to become the leader that you want to be, because it's going to look at your objective look at yourself and can really create an arc for yourself in terms of making adjustments, improvements, showing that you're iterative and data driven, and you're willing to take the feedback and willing to make the adjustments to ultimately create that comeback story as part of your leadership narrative. All right, so that concludes this quick video on a mentorship session on radical accountability. I really recommend you take this approach over a fake it till you make it approach.